Thank you very much, Program Director. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to convey the warm regards from our Director General of the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation, Dr. Mlungi Sicele, who would have loved, of course, to be here with us today, but unfortunately, he could not be with us. So it is therefore a privilege to join this inaugural summit to acknowledge, without naming each institution and its representatives individually, but in the interest of time, just to name a few of our esteemed partners and leadership who have collaborated with us to bring this endeavor to life. Let me acknowledge the presence of the Deputy Vice Chancellors from Northwest University, Deputy Vice Chancellors from University of Venda, from University of Limpopo, the Executive Officer of the Innovation Hub, and the Chairperson of the Board of the National Science and Technology Forum. I also wish to recognize members of the DSTI, Indigenous Knowledge-Based Innovation Program, under the leadership of Dr. Chabalala, and all the associated platforms in the African natural medicines, cosmeceuticals, nutraceuticals, health infusion, technology transfer, and commercialization. A special word of welcome to our students from diverse disciplines, including the medical sciences, natural sciences, and indigenous knowledge systems. It is an honor to welcome the indigenous knowledge holders, members of royal houses, and also the micro, small, and medium enterprises, MSMEs, that are exhibiting their products in the pavilion this morning. I further acknowledge colleagues from the national and provincial government departments, as well as our public funding entities. We also want to welcome development organizations, investors, incubators, manufacturers, retailers, and representatives in the banking sector and regulators. We are equally, ladies and gentlemen, and distinguished guests, honored by the presence of representatives from SADC, African Union, members of the diplomatic corps, and all those who are joining us through DSTI online platforms. Now, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and welcome. I congratulate all of you of being part of this historic inaugural Indigenous Knowledge-Based Technology Innovation Investment Summit. Your presence affirms a shared conviction that indigenous knowledge systems are not a peripheral concern, but a strategic national asset with power to shape South Africa's developmental path. For this reason, the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation has consistently advanced indigenous knowledge systems across its policy architecture, including the National Research and Development Strategy, the 10-year Innovation Plan, and the Indigenous Knowledge Systems Policy and Act, the White Paper on Science, Technology and Innovation, and the Bioeconomy Strategy. The Decadal Plan further positions indigenous knowledge systems as a strategic national priority, one that speaks directly to health, agriculture, manufacturing, curriculum transformation, and the broader imperative of decolonization. In doing so, it calls on us not to merely preserve knowledge, but to activate it as a driver of innovation, dignity, and inclusive economic growth. Ladies and gentlemen, in 2007, the Department of Science, Technology and Innovation has formally established the Indigenous Knowledge-Based Bio-Innovation Program, comprising 6 flagship platforms in African natural medicines, cosmeceuticals, nutraceuticals, health infusion, technology transfer, which includes enterprise development and commercialization for market access. The outcome of these platforms have been both substantial and inspiring. Hundreds of youth graduated. More than 300 peer-reviewed journal articles were published, 15 patents registered, and over 200 commercial products brought forward. And I hope you'll see some of them there at the back. And more than 100 micro, small, medium enterprises supported and spun out, while some of which, as I said, are proudly exhibiting there at the back for the duration of this summit. These are not abstract achievements, ladies and gentlemen. They are tangible proof that investment in indigenous knowledge-based innovation yields real developmental returns. These platforms are now being institutionalized into world-class laboratories and product development hubs at our universities and science councils, dedicated to indigenous knowledge-based science, technology, and innovation. Several of these facilities will be soft-launched during this summit. Distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen, in 2015, we implemented inclusive empowerment initiatives for students, young people, and indigenous holders. These efforts include enterprise and business development programs such as the Coach Lab, entrepreneurship, and as well as manufacturing, agro-processing, technology incubation, and acceleration support. The Executive Committee has approved the conversions of these facilities into African Bio-Innovation Institute, which will coordinate teaching, research, and innovation value chains for manufacturing, commercialization, and industrialization. The department has already begun implementing phase 1 through virtual centers of this institute. These hubs are also advancing the establishment of the first current good manufacturing practice for African natural medicines, that is the CGMP facility. The plans are already underway to add CGMP facilities for market-ready cosmeceuticals, nutraceuticals, health infusion over the next 5 to 7 years. In line with health innovation priorities of the decadal plan, the DSTI funded a working group guided by SAPRA to review the Medicines Act. The aim is to develop new provisions and regulations that enable proprietary African natural medicines to be considered for inclusion in the essential medicines list. I thought you would clap for that. In 2026, DSTI will initiate curriculum development processes for medical degrees to help produce healthcare practitioners equipped with African natural medicines in clinical applications in support of the emerging global movement towards an integrative healthcare system. Indigenous knowledge-based innovation programs is increasingly being interfaced with frontier sciences, including green biotechnology, nuclear technology, artificial intelligence, robotics, learning machines, precision agriculture, and remote sensing. These conversions signal the important truth. The future of African innovation will be strongest when it draws confidence from its own knowledge systems while embracing the tools of modern science. Yet this future, it's not unfolded by goodwill alone. It requires sustained strategic investment. It is precisely for these reasons, ladies and gentlemen, that the department has convened this inaugural summit to invite you to stand with us as collaborators, partners, and co-investors in a bold African innovation agenda. This summit seeks to mobilize resources to deepen indigenous knowledge-based research, development, and innovation capabilities, to unlock entrepreneurship opportunities for young people, students, as creators of employment rather than job seekers, and to expand market access for our micro, small, and medium enterprises, developing locally grounded, globally relevant bio-natural products and services. In 2021, the DSTI co-organized the National Indigenous Knowledge Systems Job Summit with Northwest University and University of Venda. The ministerial panel of experts recommended that future job summits should place greater emphasis on entrepreneurship as a pathway to job creation for students and young people. Following this reflection, the DSTI Executive Committee resolved that the summit should be elevated to an indigenous knowledge-based technology innovation investment summit to mobilize investment for research, infrastructure, innovation support, and youth empowerment, enterprise development, and industrialization. Ladies and gentlemen, as I go towards the end of this presentation, the summit, as we started today, will focus on the following major program elements, each designed to attract investment at scale and scale the progress already made. The first one being an interface symposium to showcase the indigenous knowledge-based technological innovation capabilities supported by the DSTI that require industry co-investment to accelerate development, product development, and industrialization. Youth entrepreneurship, or enterprising youth employment creation sessions to introduce South Africa's research talent through pitching of innovative concepts that require mentoring, incubation, and investment. Bio-natural products, and we also do soft launches, and also awards to recognize, in particular, wisdom keepers who are instrumental in the original establishment of the indigenous knowledge-based innovation program and its platforms, and whose heritage and insight continue to enrich DSTI's research, development, and innovation work. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I wouldn't end without making a call to action. Now, DSTI has got a very clear conviction, ladies and gentlemen, and that conviction is this, that science, technology, and innovation must sit at the center of government, education, and business or industry and society. In that spirit, this summit issues a direct and strategic invitation to investors, captains of industry, incubators, and developmental experts to partner with us in unlocking the full economic value, social and scientific value of sovereign African indigenous knowledge systems. At the time of fiscal constraint as we are in now, this summit presents a credible and compelling platform for mobilizing alternative resources and forging co-investment partnerships with private sector and developmental agencies. The case for partnerships is strong, practical, and urgent for the following reasons as I conclude. To strengthen institutionalization of sovereign indigenous knowledge-based innovation sector in Africa, while promoting public-private partnerships for blended financing for research infrastructure, to increase research and innovation co-investment by challenging private sector resources towards entrepreneurship and accelerating the uptake of South African bio-based products and services in local and global markets, to expand innovation and commercial value chains that support local manufacturing capacity and industrialization. Ladies and gentlemen, it is therefore with great pride and profound optimism that I declare this inaugural Indigenous Knowledge-Based Technology Innovation Investment Summit officially open. May this gathering not only mark the beginning of a deep conversation, but the beginning of a movement, one that transforms knowledge into opportunity, innovation into enterprise, and vision into shared prosperity. Thank you.